Beautiful, right? But look further. You'll see them. They're a restless bunch in search of beauty. There's the unyielding conquerors that won't take no for an answer. Yep, that's this place. Perfect for those who want a little more. Some people look forward to the destination, while others don't mind a cheeky detour or two in search of a little more.
Stage is just commencing here in Adelaide. It's the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. Stage number 6, Norton Summit, is ahead of us, and it's a glorious piece of road as this camera angle and this one shows us. I am Jan McCarthy. Alongside me for this one is Nick Lenthal. Great to have you a part of the team this year, Nick. It's already proven in stage number 1 earlier today. We've got a great field of cars, over 300. It's awesome.
We have, Dan. Thank you for welcoming me along. Part of the competition this year. And we've already seen these beautiful cars getting up through the Beaumont stage this morning. Since we saw them, they've done probably another 5 stages. They actually had a fairly good work done. One of those stages was the 20-kilometre long. So they really have their work done. This is a beautiful piece of road. We're only probably 400 or 500 metres from the start of the road. Starts off with quite a quick straight section. The corners tighten up a little bit just as they get to us. About a 6 right just behind us, so there's 6 left. and then there's right into a hairpin, which turns right back on itself and starts a very steep climb, which you see from the drone that this really is quite a sharp ascent.
It's just in front of us on the field. So yeah, they go through these fast S's section, and then they roar into this hairpin, and then from there it is a big climb. That camera, as you say, doesn't really do it justice. There really is, the drone will really show us just how high it is. We can see the cars out of that corner, and we are looking almost directly up, aren't we, over outside the van. It really is an insane descent.
It is, and I reckon ascent, in that first 100 metres from the hairpin, they're probably 30 metres from that. So it's quite a sharp ascent, and it is uphill all the way to the end of this stage, up until the last probably kilometre, where you have some really tight twisty stuff to the Norton Summit Hotel, great SA landmark, that has been part of various Norton Summit stages in their various iterations for 10 or 15 years in the Adelaide Rally.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the longest stages, actually, at 5.5 kilometres, but they're back to the marathon stage, the 19.5 kilometre stage next at Cherryville. So yeah, this is stage number 6. There's 11 stages today. So yeah, we live stream stage number 1 if you missed that. Make sure you jump on, and you can catch up on all of what you missed on the Shannon's Adelaide Rally YouTube channel, or even on the Facebook page as well. So there's multiple platforms in which you can catch up on all of the action that you have missed. But yes, at the moment we are live streaming from here at Norton Summit. We will be back here a little bit later on this afternoon, at just after 3 o'clock, I believe it is. So yeah, make sure you tune back in for that once this one finishes. But we're quite far away from that. We're only just seeing the first cars head up the hill.
And just while we've got a little lull, I'll tell you a little bit about that Cherryville Plus stage. It starts off on Marble Hill Road, which is just near the what used to be the Governor's summer residence, and it's quite a tricky stretch of road. You want really good notes for it. Then it turns a sharp right downhill into a road called the Corkscrew. Corkscrew is very well known to Adelaide motorists. It's very, very tight. There's a number of hairpins in it. I think there's 4 hairpins in a row at the bottom before it opens up again, and gets quite fast down through past the orange orchard and the big long hedge through there. Tightens up again, and there's a beautiful picturesque little left-hand corner over a narrow bridge, it's like a quintessential rally shot from the 70s. So great stage. Then on to Gorge Road, where once again you've got fast flowing corners to finish it off. Back to the Porsches now.
Yeah, so this is the Zagami Tour out there at the moment. So McLarens, Lamborghinis. I'm not sure if you could hear that on the live stream. That little Fiat making all sorts of noises. That's really cool there.
It's not a Fiat 500 as we know it, is
no,
it?
No. It rolls around the hairpin, and there it is, that steep descent up the hill. Continue to climb, look, all the way. Here we are, just showing you the Audi SUV, which goes past us. That's about where we're located, just to the right there of that camera angle. So the Zagami Tour, a big group of cars. We've got a total this year in Zagami alone of 53, so they just continue to come through from all makes, models, years. We've gone from an old Porsche look to a pretty modern Aston Martin. I'm a pomp. I love the look of an Aston Martin, and when you think Aston Martin, you generally think James Bond.
You do. He's not here today.
No, he isn't.
But it's great to have brands like Aston Martin as part of the field. And I should stress, to people watching this live stream, that the guys you're watching now, they're not professional rally drivers. They're not professional race drivers. Yesterday they were at work running their business, or looking after patients, or manufacturing something, just in their normal daily life. And today they're driving rally cars quite spiritedly through the hills. And look, one of the hardest things to get used to is that you can use all the road, and you generally find for the first stage or two you don't, because you're so used to just driving on your correct side of the road. But you'll see as we go through the field, as we build up to the more competitive, more seasoned drivers, they will be making a lot more effort to get the line just right, to clip the apexes on the corners and have perfect exits so they carry as much speed as possible.
Absolutely. See behind me, a Ferrari. We just saw the Ferrari flag located just on the outside of the hairpin. Really cool to see. Clearly some Ferrari enthusiasts down there. I'm sure they'll be watching the Las Vegas Grand Prix, of course, seeing Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz get on this weekend in the land of Formula One. A pretty momentous moment really for Formula One to be back in Vegas for the first time in 42 years, the last one being in 1981. A race won by Alan Jones, if I recall.
Now there's a name from the past.
It certainly is Australian icon. That was his last race with Williams before he went into retirement for a couple of years, before he came back with Barcelona, of course, in the mid-80s, during the early days of the Adelaide Grand Prix. We can see on the, I want to say track, on the road at the moment, is a nice Ferrari
We're getting some fantastic drone shots there. It just not only shows the cars and the event, but it also gives you an idea of just how close to the Adelaide city centre we are. We're only probably 5 or 6 kilometres out. We're just starting the elevation. We're really sort of at the foot of the foothills. And yeah, we're just, as we said earlier, we're just starting this rapid ascent up Norton Summit Road to the Norton Summit Hotel. And we're going to visit this road, or this stage, under a different name later in the weekend, and that is downhill from the Norton Summit Hotel, but on a different road, the old Norton Summit Road. Unfortunately, we won't live stream that to watch it yourselves. And those instructions for the spectating are on the website, or you'll find a link to it on the Facebook page. Look at that beautiful countryside.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at this gorgeous Bentley Continental. It's pretty big, pretty bulky, but it goes pretty darn well, that's for certain. And I can hear a V10 changing down the gear, and that is quite a lovely Lamborghini. A couple of them heading up the hill. How great do they sound?
That is a unique sound. That V10 is just superb.
Certainly is. You can see there just the rise just continues, doesn't it? You see from that camera shot, it's a constant rise. Both the stages that we've shown today really have started on the flat of Adelaide, and both of them have gone up the foothills really at the start, making their way up the hills. We've sort of just moved about 10 kilometres down Portrush Road essentially.
Yep.
We're about the same distance away from the city. It's just that we've just moved along a little bit further around the hill, I suppose you'd say.
That's right. And the start of this stage a little less residential than where we were in Beaumont. But again, you know, big thanks to all the local residents who not only allow the rally cars to use their roads, but love to have them use their roads and be a part of the spectacle that is the Adelaide Rally.
Absolutely, and that just shows, doesn't it, the drone shot. You can see how low it is on the left-hand side and how high it is on the right-hand side. It's almost at the level of the drone over on that right-hand side. It really does showcase just the elevation that takes place outside of that hairpin.
Yep.
We saw before, there's a few fans at the hairpin, and it looks like a volunteer official or two as well, as the cars continue to stream on by. A nice Mercedes there, and the number, that's Tour Leader number 13.
I love the sound of these C64s, Dan. Great V8 sound they've got.
They do sound good, Jack. Can agree with that entirely. Looks to me like we have moved on, or he's pushing a bit more down into the hairpin. The black Mercedes you can see on the left of your screen. He's giving it a bit more welly than some of these others that we've seen so far. Here he goes into the hairpin, pushing the 203 machine. So we moved on from the Zagami Tour. All of them have already gone by, and we are straight on now with the Mercedes Tour. And it looks to me, Nick, I don't know about you, but these Mercedes drivers are certainly pushing more than the Zagami drivers, really.
They're in a hurry. I don't know where they're going, but they certainly want to get there quickly. No, and it's, look, as we said earlier, it's an opportunity to, in controlled conditions, get to stretch the legs of your car a bit. You're not doing anything illegal. The road is entirely closed to the public. And just for this short stretch, every now and again, 30 of them over the next 3 days, you'll get to use the lines that you've always wanted to use through corners. You know, just extend the revs a bit more and feel the total enjoyment of whatever machine you choose to punt for the weekend.
Absolutely, I think you sort of said it right. You know, I always dream of thinking, oh, if I could use the right line for this hairpin, use all the road. But in the Adelaide Rally, you do, and that's one of the great things, that you can enter this. You can buy a Mercedes and phone up the Mercedes group and say, am I all right? Can I join your group? Can I drive my Mercedes? Whether that's a little A45 hatchback all the way up to a C63, or even an SLS AMG. Any car, if it's a Mercedes product, can be driven in the Mercedes Tour. Same goes for BMW. If you've got a BMW, whether that's an M2 up to an M6 or even an X5, you can enter your BMW in it. And that's the same with all of these tours to start with. And then the main and the Spirit Tour, you don't even need to be with a group. You can just enter the rally and drive your own machine up the hill at some speed.
That's right, and it doesn't have to be a supercar. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be like the MX-5 that I'm driving today, a beaut car to drive through the hills. And what has been really noticeable about this, me coming from a dealership background, is that the dealers have really hopped on board with this over the last 10 years, especially with Tim Possenham's encouragement. They have used it as a way of getting closer to their customers. And being out for a day, no one's trying to sell anything. We're just all out having a great time and thinking, wow, I really love my Mercedes, I really love my BMW. And it's become a wonderful marketing tool for manufacturers and for dealers.
It certainly has. It's really good in that regard. It really is an event for tours. It really does drive your car on the roads at, beyond the speed limit and use all of the road. It's all done in a manner that's controlled at the same time, and that's the idea of these tours, to allow people to drive at some speed, enjoy themselves, but do so in a manner which isn't too leery either. And as I say, it's all about enthusiasts, and our major sponsor, Shannon's. They are motoring enthusiasts. The Shannon's Adelaide Rally, once again, is titled this year, Shannon's Staying on Board. They are motoring enthusiasts. They share your passion for cars, and they've always been so heavily involved in car insurance. If you've got an engine, spare engine that you want to change and put in your car, or anything like that, any car tools, anything like that, they can be insured by Shannon's, not just your motor vehicle, but the things that go with it. And I think that's a real great initiative that Shannon's take.
It's great, and the thing is, they actually tailor the insurance that they provide to enthusiasts, because they know that some enthusiasts are going to drive their car 10 times in a year. Their old classic that they've got. And so you might take out a policy for extreme limited use. It's something that I've used in the past, but I've had a relationship with Shannon's for, I think, probably about 30 years now. I don't know how many cars I've insured with them, but they were all sizes, great and small, and some more expensive than others, but there was always a policy to suit, and whether it was your daily driver and you were using it for business, you can cover that. But if it's something that you only take out on the sunniest of Sundays, there's a policy for that as well. And it'll be priced accordingly. If you're using it less, you'll pay a bit less. So it really is insurance by enthusiasts for enthusiasts.
Absolutely. We see there another official, just making sure everything is all right. Oh, that's a photographer. I apologise. There you are. Yes, you are on the live stream.
That's not just a photographer, that's John Lem.
Oh, yes, actually. Good spot.
It is. And what a stalwart he's been of motorsport in South Australia. Yes, I think he took photos of me in my Mazda rally car in 1979. And, he's been out all that time, and he takes a great pic too.
Yes, I worked for Auto Action for many years, and Auto Action uses John Lem for all the local South Australian events even today. So yes, John Lem, very well known South Australian photographer, and he's found himself a really good spot just about here down at the hairpin. So he's getting all these great shots, and of course he'll be distributing into all of these drivers that are out there at the moment. So I've had a few text messages and competitors asking me, I'd really like my photos to be taken, and I'd like to purchase a couple of them. And I said, there'll be plenty of photographers to get in touch with, such as.
And it's another bonus from doing the event is you're going to get a photo of your car being 50 bit harder than normal. It might have the front wheel a little off the ground or something like that. And these photographers, they're absolutely expert at catching it just right. I've got a couple at home. mine is on my Facebook page, and it's just my favourite photo that's ever been taken of my rally car. But again, it's another reason, another memento of, hey, wasn't that a great day, great weekend?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Let's see the cars heading up the hill. You might be wondering, these don't look like Mercedes, and no, they're not. We've now moved on to the BMW Mini Tour. They seem to be coming through a bit quicker than they were this morning. I think everyone was just waking up this morning, just trying to get themselves all in order. They've had a few stages now. They're well rehearsed, well versed in the process. So we are moving on at a vast rate now. So yeah, the BMW Mini Tour out there heading up the stage.
That's right, they've got their eyes on now, and that was the point of that very first stage as well, just to let everybody settle in. No pressure, just make sure you've got all your settings right, brake pads are warm, all those things. And now look at them 6 stages later, they're finally tuned.
They certainly are, certainly are. Take them a bit of the morning. Oh, there's a BMW i8. I haven't seen too many of them in the Adelaide Rally before, and just to say that, there's 2 of them. So, 2 BMW i8s there, heading around the hairpin, and heading up the hill. So pretty cool to see an i8, something a bit different, pretty new still, the BMW i8, pretty good addition to the range, of course, with its electric hybrid power. Still though, it makes some good noises.
Something that we're going to see a whole lot more of is electric and hybrid. We're already seeing it in at the very top level of motorsport. We're seeing it in the World Rally Championship. Look, the rejectors, the fond rejectors, are having to eat their words in some cases because these cars are very quick. In fact, one of the hardest things that the designers have to deal with is how to get so much torque to the ground without having the thing just break into ridiculous wheel spin all the time, because they have so much torque and it's instant. That's the feature of electric power.
It certainly is. Yeah, you can't beat the 0 to 60, well, 0 to 100 kilometres an hour time of an electric vehicle. They really are electric. Pardon the pun.
And I mean, never mind about having all-wheel drive. Let's just have one electric motor in the front and one in the rear. That would be the simplest way of doing it, wouldn't it?
Yes, and it's been very effective in electric vehicles now for a number of years. But yeah, as you say, many of these in the rally. In fact, I can't think of any electric vehicle. They are all sort of powered. There goes Vic Moore, the leader of the Porsche group. So he's now gone from BMWs to Porsches. So we've gone from one iconic German manufacturer to another. We've gone from Mercedes to BMW and now to Porsche. About the only German manufacturer missing from that, of course, is Audi. But yes, listen to the flat sixes. Awesome. Echoing around us. We can hear them up the hill to our left, over to the right hand side of where we are located. They're literally surrounding us. It's an awesome spot to be as they roar around these fast corners, and we can see them into the tight hairpins.
And a manufacturer, Porsche as a manufacturer, has always had driving the car quickly as the essence of the brand. And somehow they've managed to retain that beautiful 911 shape in 100 different iterations over the years, but they're still unmistakably a 911. You know, the power plants get bigger, they have some modern smarts, but the unmistakable aura of a 911 Porsche is still alive today, very much.
As you say, you know, obviously it's been tweaked and it looks a lot more modern than it did in the 70s, but it's undeniably a 911, and even people that aren't car enthusiasts can see a 911 and they know it's a 911 just by looking at it. There's something about them, as we say, they haven't developed, but they still have that essential look that a 911 that anybody can spot.
In terms of development then, you know, we're talking about electric and hybrid, which Porsche of course are heavily involved in as well. Yes. But they've also chosen to manufacture their own entirely synthetic fuel. instead of kicking it out of the ground. And so there's a whole lot to look forward to. Who knows what the next decade will bring us in these cars.
Well, that's right, there's a lot going into synthetic fuel. Of course, Sebastian Vettel heavily involved in trying to get Formula One to go to a sustainable fuel. He's been pretty adamant and open about the fact that he says if we go sustainable fuel, there's no reason why we can't run V10s and V8s again, and he's made that all clear. And I know, Nick, that you're a big fan of the old school engines, shall we say, with no hybrid element to them. Of course, that's the way that Formula One had to go, it had to move with the times.
As was the case with the World Rally Championship.
That's right.
But yeah, like I guess, like a lot of people, they've had to be dragged kicking and screaming into the 21st century with hybrids and electric cars, and there's no doubt they are incredibly effective. But even manufacturers like Toyota, working on hydrogen engines, really at the forefront of their development, and used as an ambassador for that at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, no other than Rowan Atkinson, listed there himself for that. And Rowan Atkinson, being an engineer, he spoke very, very eloquently about how the engine worked.
Yeah, I saw that myself, and yeah, we advise you, if you haven't seen that, it is on YouTube. Rowan Atkinson driving a hydrogen car up the Goodwood Hill climb, and yeah, he's a big car enthusiast, isn't he, Rowan Atkinson? He does a fair bit of historic motor racing over in England, and a real character of the sport. He often goes to Formula One races around the world. I continue to see these Porsches way up the hill, and there's quite a few of them here this weekend. In total, in the Porsche Club, 23. But now we move on to the Hyundais. You can see the first head into the hairpin, and they continue to come through. That one there is driven by the Titanis, Matthew and Lisa alongside. I think Matthew's doing the majority of the driving today. Good to see them here. Two media personalities, do a lot for the Motorsport media in various different aspects, so great to see them here this weekend enjoying themselves. And the Hyundais continue to come through. There's not too many Hyundais here this year. We can see the drone's gone a bit further around the hill, so we can see them take that right-hander at the top of the hill, and then they've got another left-hander a bit further beyond that. You're a veteran of the Adelaide Rally. You've been driving in it many, many times. We've had to drag you kicking and screaming into the commentary box this year. But for you, this stage, what's unique about it?
It's a fantastic stage, actually, both up and down. Done it in both directions. Heading up the hill is a fair bit more comfort, because if you back off, the car slows down. Yes. When you're going down, it's like an unnatural act. You really... accelerating flat out when you're going downhill is one of those things that you always have to get your head around as a driver. But to go up the hill, like I said, you've got this hairpin here. There's quick uphill descent, and you can actually get a bit of speed going up here. There's a tighter right at the top of the hill, which is a double apex, and to its left is the roof of a house. And it always used to bother me when you were coming down that if you went off, you would probably land on the roof of that house. And so we made a note never to do that. But yeah, as it goes up the hill, it's really enjoyable. The corners are so slight that you can find almost a straight line straight through them, and you're able to carry a lot of speed without taking any great risk, which of course makes it even more enjoyable. You get to the top, there's a little bit of a jump as you kind of reach the plateau at the top, and then some tight twisty stuff on the flat until you finish up at the Norton Summit Hotel, and you will feel like a beer when you finish this, I can tell you.
But we don't recommend midway through the day
We
to
don't
down a beer.
recommend
No,
it. Not even in the commentary box. would we
no,
recommend
correct, correct. Make sure you do that at the end of the day, and then you can make your way back down the stage again if you'd like to, on the way back to the Adelaide Showground, which is, of course, where all the cars are located over the 3 days. So, yeah, they're all rest up at the showgrounds. It's all guarded to make sure nothing's vandalised or anything like that. It's all so well organised, like the rest of this brilliant Shannon's Adelaide Rally is.
It is beautifully organised. 300 volunteers helping to make it that way and make everything run like a military operation. Just while we've got a little lull, I might try and just throw some light on why you'll see the competition cars going a lot quicker through, and that is because these fellows in the tour groups are using a road book. The road book's supplied by the organisers, and it lists every intersection. It might list some hazards that you need to be conscious of, but it doesn't note every corner. When you see the competition crews come through, they have actually driven these roads prior to the event. They have to drive them at normal road speeds. There's no allowances for them. So they just drive them at normal road speeds, and in fact that's the best way to make your notes, because it's more important to be precise than anything else. So a corner like this one that we're just looking at here might be written up as a 6 right into a 1 left. Now a 1 left is a road that turns right back on itself, in other words a hairpin, a 180-degree turn. So when you watch the competition cars go through later and you see them taking much tighter lines, maybe they brake much later into a corner, or they don't even brake at all sometimes because they know that the corner opens just after the apex. All those things are in their notes, and that's all part of the preparation, and that's another part of the attraction of rallying. I used to thoroughly enjoy writing the notes. We'd drive every stage twice before the event, just at normal speeds, and it would probably take us 6 whole days to write our notes for the event. And I do admit there is a nerdy part about it. It does appeal to my nerdy side, but it's also, when you get your notes right and you're driving in the event, that is so satisfying when your co-driver is calling those notes and the road just arrives at you and it's exactly how you expected it would be. And you might be 2 or 3 corners ahead in your notes. So you're driving beyond what you can see, but with a degree of safety, because you're well prepared for what's about to happen. And you know if the next few corners are going to get more and more open so you can accelerate, or you know if they're going to tighten up and you need to be swapping gear and braking. But we'll talk about pace notes later on, but I just wanted to point out that there is a reason why you'll see the speeds change today, or should I say that the commitment rather than the speed, the commitment to the course.
We saw there's not only fans on 2 legs, but also 4 legs. Got a dog here watching the action of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. There's quite a crowd developing down there at the hairpin, which is really cool to see.
You might get a visit from Mr. Kangaroo, who we spotted earlier as well. Skippy?
Yes, fortunately I think he went in the other direction, which is good news for us here watching this stage live, which is good news. But yeah, he has hopefully hopped away, that's for sure. There he is, the 4-legged friend, watching on from the comfort of the car. Really, really cool to see. There you can see the Adelaide CBD in the distance. Of course, without the South Australian government, we wouldn't be here this weekend. They throw their support behind the event, and without them it would not be possible. We've touched on the volunteers already and said without them it also wouldn't be possible. But yes, the event, not only this but also the Adelaide Motorsport Festival and the Adelaide 500 as well, revived by the South Australian Labor government. Peter Malinauskas made it an election promise last year, and he delivered 2 fantastic events, not only the Adelaide 500 but the return of the Adelaide Motorsport Festival earlier in the year.
That's right. Motorsport Festival is coming up again next year on March the 15th. But yeah, it was. I guess it was quite a vote catcher for the Labor government. You don't know how many people are really passionate about motorsport until someone throws it in as a reason to vote for us. And wow, look how many people got on board. So that's been great. When they said they were going to run it last year, I thought, no, you couldn't possibly actually. And thanks to the South Australian government.
Absolutely. You can see the main tour now heading up the hill, a bit sideways there for the Nissan, putting the power down up the hill. It cranked sideways. Good little catch from the tour leader. I don't think the Golf's going to have any issues with losing the tail, being front wheel drive, of course. But we can see the cars continue to fly by. So yeah, this now the main tour. The last of the tours before we get into the bit more serious stuff. We do have the Spirit Tour, but that requires helmets and they do go a bit faster than the main tour cars. Here we are, a Subaru Impreza, as we said in the last stage. There's quite a few of those iconic machines, and that one particularly looks the correct shade of blue. It's the number 200, I can't quite see. We're just located just behind an Armco barrier, so we can't quite see the numbers. I can tell you that's a Ford Mustang, it's a 264 machine.
Joanne and Jason Harmon and a beautiful blue metallic.
That sounds good. Going up the hill, and there's a little 944. So there really is an eclectic mix, isn't there, in the main tour? But that's what makes this particular class so great, that Joe Bloggs can arrive in his car, pays for a Motorsport Australia licence, and then he can go racing.
That's right. And speaking of Mackin edition Evo, I think they were a 6.5, were they? Evo 6.5, and has he slowed?
Yeah, it looked a little slow coming out the corner. I don't think it's 6.5. I think it's a bit smaller than that. But yeah, certainly slowed down coming out the corner there.
I think Evo 6 is the Mackin. To celebrate, of course, Tommy Mackin has been he has disappeared off the charts.
The cars continue to flood through. That's Elfin, isn't it? That the silver machine.
Elfin Streamliner. Yep. With Graham Watkins, Graham and his son Ben. What an incredible machine. LS38 in a reasonable Elfin, of course, great Adelaide story of great people who and one of their trademarks, of course, was being silver. Always had
Absolutely. You can see just coming through the screen now, another Nissan. And this is a Lamborghini. Is that a Murcielago? It is. Pretty old machine these days. Look at how wide it is. Compared to all the other cars, that's so wide. Look, it's just using up a lane just by itself. Look at how wide that machine is as it goes up the hill. I can't quite believe that. Oh, this is glorious. This is great to see. Alpine.
And a brand that's been reincarnated over the last few years.
Indeed.
A brand in its own right. I had the opportunity to drive it. And what a fabulous little car. Really, really exciting car. Not super powerful or anything, just a really nimble, well-mannered, well-balanced sports car.
Is that the original Alpine that you drove, or one of the new ones? Because of course they have.
It'll be a new one.
Yes,
I don't think I'll ever get the chance to drive them.
No, I don't think any of us will be that lucky, or very, very few of us anyway. But really nice to see an old school. He went down a gear there, didn't he? That Porsche. You probably heard it at the back of the live stream. Went down a gear and then went back on the throttle on the little short shoot down into the hairpin.
We'll see how it gets up the hill now.
Squeaky brakes from the orange 70s Porsche just behind as well. There's a few noises, sounds that we can hear. Another old school BMW just passing us down into the hairpin. That's the number 284 machine. So that's John Wills at the wheel of that BMW 1602, which refers to the CCs of the car.
That's it.
Ray Eastwood there going by as well.
Mercedes 220S. That's the long chat with Ray Eastwood, who not only has been a punter of a classic Mercedes, but a Mercedes dealer as well. So long association.
That was a really good chat actually. There's a bit of a delay midway through and you had a lengthy chat with Ray. It was a really interesting chat actually. So yeah, make sure you check out the live stream or anything you missed, as we say. This is stage number 6. We've already live streamed stage 1. This is the second of our live streamed stages, and then we will be back later on this afternoon here again, Norton Summit, for this particular stage. See, that's the end of that particular group. There's a follower going through with all the flashing hazard lights.
Yeah,
We'll be back on a little bit in just a moment with the next group of vehicles. So yes, just to reiterate, this is stage 6, Norton Summit, run number 1. Then they go back to the marathon stage, that is Cherryville, 19.4 kilometres in length. They'll do the Stafford Hill climb. They haven't done that one yet today. That's 2.5 k's in length. They'll do the second run of Cleveland, followed by the Norton Summit second run at stage 10. That'll be live streamed, and then Anstey's Hill to round out today. Now Cleveland, I mentioned that there earlier on, stage number 9. So stage number 1 of Cleveland was run as the third stage, but it was an untimed stage in the end. There was an oil failure for an engine failure which spilt oil on the road. But that was all cleaned up, but they just decided to err on the side of caution and take the cars through under just taut speeds. So that wasn't a timed stage for the competition cars. All the other ones have been since, 4, 5, and then this one will be as well, stage number 6. But all the competition cars are still to come. So competition, challenge and TSD, they are still to come. They'll be just after the Spirit Tour, which should be the next cars through the stage. Now, Spirit Tour, that's when things start to get a little bit more serious. It's when people, you're doing speeds and you've got to start wearing helmets when you get to the Spirit Tour level.
You do, and it's just, you see as you go up through the categories, you get just a little bit more safety precautions introduced in terms of what the drivers are wearing, the safety inside the car, like roll cage. And then you get up to competition where you've got very stringently designed roll cages. The drivers are wearing what's called a Hans device, which, should they come unstuck and have a forward impact, it's going to prevent or minimise neck injuries. Full harness belts, of course, 5-point harness. And they're using Rally Safe for all their timing. So yeah, as you go up through each category that you're watching today, the demands put on the build of the car become more and more stringent. And if you want to go and have a look at Stafford Ridge, well, the stage is called Stafford Hill Climb, but us old stagers call it Stafford Ridge because that's what it used to be called back in the day. It uses Stafford's Road. So simple instruction, just find your way to Lenswood in the Adelaide Hills and turn left onto Cold Stores Road and drive about maybe a couple of kilometres, stop, park your car, and you can walk up to a right-hand intersection. So you can watch the cars. They will have come up the hill through some S's, and then they'll be punting pretty hard when they get into your view, and turn 90 degrees right at a road junction up Stafford's Road. So, and it's always delivers. You know, there's always a little bit of gravel thrown around, and a little bit of tyre squealing, and a little bit of sideways movement, and always attracts a good crowd because it's a very easy spot to get to. So there you go. Stafford Hill Climb they've still got a couple of stages to do before that, so you've got time to get there. And yeah, you'll be able to. There's no admission charge. It's free. You just find yourself take a chair along, find yourself a good spot on the side of the hill, and you'll have an aerial view of the cars turning left at a road junction.
You mentioned Rally Safe just before. So essentially, it's an app that's been made, from what you were telling me, in Tasmania, and it's been such a great thing for rallying. Basically, it tracks every vehicle all of the time, so officials know exactly where every car is and exactly what speed they're doing as well. And it's used for all the timing of the event, so all the stage times are recorded through it as well. And it's been a real great initiative brought into rallying, not only in Australia, but it's also been a bit of a success around the world as well.
It's been used in other parts of the world. It was, I think, it was started being developed about 13 years ago in Tasmania. There was an incident in an event, and a couple of the drivers got together and said, we think that if we had communication from car to car, that situation might not have occurred. So if we can avoid that potential danger in the future, that would be a useful thing to do. And of course, software being what it is, you're then able to go, well, hang on, there's about half a dozen other things we could do with that if we built that. So it works from GPS. It's sitting on it's a little box about half the size of a shoebox that sits on the dash for the co-driver. And as you move up to the start of the stage, your Rally Safe screen, what appears on your screen, will actually change all by itself. You could do the whole rally without pressing a button. The screen will change to 30 seconds, and it will count you down from 30 seconds to your start time. So even though we do have control officials, and even though they're standing there and they're waving their hand or whatever, in truth, we could do it without them. And we're not going to, because it's always good to have human beings there as well. But Rally Safe does that. So there's none of this, oh, the timing didn't work, you know, we didn't get your time, because every car is timing itself during the event through GPS. Those times are sent immediately in real time to rally headquarters. If a car stops on a stage, rally headquarters know. If it has an impact, rally headquarters know. If it's upside down, rally headquarters know. And not only that, but the Rally Safe app you can install on your phone, and so your service crew, who are going to meet you at the end of some particular stage and refuel you and make sure that everything is as it should be, they can look at their Rally Safe app and see exactly where you are on the course. So if you're 5 or 10 minutes late, they'll have a look and go, wow, he's stopped on a stage, we need to work out how we're going to get the car out of there when the stage finishes, or whatever. So it's a brilliant communication tool, but one of its best features is a thing called push to pass. So if I'm following you, Dan, and we're in two rally cars, and for some reason you've dropped off the pace a bit, maybe you've got a mechanical problem, I'm catching you, but I don't know if you know I'm there. So my co-driver just presses a button, says push to pass. It comes up on your co-driver's screen, and he says, we're about to be passed by another car. So you can give me some room, you can look in the mirrors, and you can manage. And there's so many good things that come out of rally, so it's terrific. It started
really cool story. Yeah, I learned about the push to pass a couple of days ago. I didn't know that's such a great initiative that, again, is taken and can be used so well. Not like a push to pass an IndyCar where they have a boost to help overtake. No.
I wish we had that. I wish we had.
No, the same term, but for something completely different. So yeah, we can see the next tour leader heading up the stage, just making sure everything is okay and set to go. Our drone footage shows us that things look good there as well, and that really shows the level of elevation and how much it drops off. So that's the top of the hill. We're located just there. You can actually see the vans. So those cars just to the right hand side of the shot there, the white vehicle, the red one, the blue one, and those vehicles there, and then we're the one on the left, that little van underneath the tree. That's where we're located. A brilliant spot to watch the action. We can see them right outside the van, through the S section and right down into the hairpin and around there as well. We've got a really great spot, so we're just about where the BMW is here. We're just there, and then it rolls down into the hairpin, down a couple of gears, flips it into the turn. We've got to be nice and gentle on the throttle. A lot of these cars, and we should say in the tours, if your car is fitted with traction control, you have to run traction control, so there shouldn't be any sliding, any sideways moments.
But also, I think you're starting to notice, not with every car, but starting to notice getting into the lines and concentrate on
There's certainly a bit more attitude, isn't there? Visible attitude from the cars as they turn into the corners. So that there was the 401 machine. So that is the first of the Spirit Tour cars. So that's Wheeler Shope, and followed by the Ferrari. The fantastic Ferrari F355 Challenge. And it just makes one of the best noises any road car's ever made. Yeah. Oh.
Only a Ferrari.
Oh, just fantastic. Yep. Absolutely fantastic.
We had a good chat with Mark this morning on the Beaumont stage. He's a repeat offender. He's done, I think he said 3 of these, and he was really looking forward to Cherryville today. That was his favourite thing, which he's already had his first pass off. So,
well, just him that said that, of course. Many people said Cherryville. Cherryville's the best stage. And you know why it's the best stage, don't you? Because it's the longest stage. Yes, exactly right. It's a real challenge.
Dan Beck at the wheel, a veteran of many Adelaide rallies.
Listen to that popping and spluttering into the corner. The 440 machine. These Spirit cars are not quite in the same order. That's Ben Clark. Alongside him is Chris Donaldson, so Subaru, of course. But yes, all the other tours so far have been in numerical order, but not the Spirit tour, so that's thrown us a little bit. Here's the new Honda Civic, roaring towards the camera. You can tell it's a bit lower at the front. The nose isn't quite as high. That's the way I look. It's a lot more sleek at the front end. The rear end looks pretty similar to the last spec Honda Civic. It's the front for me where it looks a bit different. And it's really cool to see some real new cars hitting these stages. Of course, we saw earlier on as well the McLaren Artura. That's out there. That's a pretty new McLaren. So there's all these new cars. The GR Corolla, which I believe this is it, isn't it? The GR Corolla. Let's have a look. That is the 404 car.
That is Tom Gilbert.
Yep.
Now, as we mentioned this morning, that is yet another iteration of Toyota's 3-cylinder, this time 1.6 turbo, 2. Struggle to work out how you do that.
And that's the first time that the Corolla has been here on the Adelaide Rally. So yeah, a brand new car to the mix this year. So there's several, as you said, the new Honda Civic and that the new Toyota Corolla. And again, we reiterate, you can go and buy these machines from These tour cars are not rally cars, they are just normal road cars that are driving these stages. So anybody can have a play. We've gone from a Gazoo Corolla to the Gazoo Yaris, a bit more familiar to everyone. This car has been around for a number of years now and been very successful. We spoke about earlier, particularly in WRC in recent years, in the hands of Kalle Rovanperä, who just the other week wrapped up his second straight Rally Championship. He's a real superstar, is that young Finn, going from strength to strength, and I can see him doing a bit like OJ and Lowe, just going on. That's quite loud.
It's been all
Yes, you are right, that he's old, and Lucy Barker alongside. If you can hear us in the 2010 Porsche 997. And that is.
And look, those Toyota Yaris's, the Gazoo Yaris's, what?
Yeah.
They're such a little. They're all about work, don't they? They're just purpose built.
Continuing on the dog theme of the stage, we've seen not one but two dogs, and now you refer. Oh, that's a bit wide. That was a little bit more close to the Armco than what he would have wanted there in the Lancer. I'm not sure if you saw that, Nick. He missed the apex by a good couple of metres. He was on the outside of the road, on effectively what will be the dirty part of the stage, which all together. Again, fires through.
Now these would have to be, Dan, these would have to be on your list of budget choice car to do this event, wouldn't they?
Well, I'm a POM, so I like a good hot hatchback. I know McGann, got a Ss10, those little Gazoo Yarises. There's a lot to choose from. If you like your hot hatches, it really does showcase them all here in this rally. It is hard to pick which one to go with.
If you're sitting at home and you're thinking, I reckon I'd like that, you'll buy a Renault Megane 250 or 265 kilowatt with reasonable kilometres on it for somewhere between $12,000 and $17,000. They make about 195 kilowatt, I think, straight off the seats. They've got good brakes, they've got a little under 20,000 k. By the time you've fitted up, if you want, you could fit some R-rated rubber, just to make it extra sticky. But what an enjoyable car that's going to be. And you can drive it when the rally's over.
And this is the very car I was thinking of when we were talking. This is the Focus ST that I was into. That's probably, oh, it just sounds fantastic. Oh, all squeal around the corner. Gets it in nicely though. A good exit there from Daniel Andrews. We should say again, not the former Victorian Premier.
No.
I'd like to see that Daniel Andrews fly up the hills of Adelaide in the same speed as this Daniel Andrews.
Not going to happen.
No, absolutely not. And here's another one. So now we've shown you all of the hot hatches here this afternoon. So this is Daniel Callies, another South Australian photographer. He shoots for several supercars teams and a real stalwart of the supercars media is Daniel. He was at Bathurst a couple of weeks ago shooting the GCR World Tour as well. So yeah, real great photographer from South Australia around these parts at the moment. It's been driven very quickly as well by Oliver Taylor. That is an RS3. I think he had to go down an extra gear there on the exit of the hairpin. I think he might have been in third and didn't realise how steep it was and then went down to second. That's one of the fastest driven cars I've seen so far on this stage. That is moving.
It just makes so much talk. Like at Beaumont, you made the comment about it. Look, you know, I can tell you, an old school escort, naturally aspirated, you'd be thirsty.
Yeah, okay.
To get up that hill. So if he's in third, that's very annoying.
Very annoying. Oh dear. But a lot. You know, we were talking about this actually in between stages, weren't we? That, you know, these days modern cars do have a lot more gears, so it's very rare these days in a modern car that you'd even consider going into first, let alone actually going into it.
Yep.
And here we have the Chevrolet Camaro. I think this looks absolutely fantastic. It sounds good. Yes, exactly.
Listen to that. And it's automatic.
Yes. I don't even think using the flappy pedals. I think he's got that in auto, as you say. And then from one brand to the other, we are showcasing both sides here, the General Motors and the blue oval. So here is the Ford Mustang with the famous Ford blue stripe down the middle, which I like. Of course, when the Gen 3 cars were first, oh, a bit sideways there. Kicking the tail out a little bit there, which is a bit of a surprise. Not using all the road, kept it quite shallow, and I think that's what forced the rear end out. Just too much speed for the line that was being taken.
Just cramping the car a bit. But a bit of a fan of the Mustang, and again, modern car, 35 kilowatts off the road. You don't have to do anything to it, you don't have to develop the engine. I would guess that one has been developed, judging by the exhaust note. But gee, you have a lot of fun with 330 kilowatts in a modern car that has so many smarts and so many safety attributes as well.
This isn't quite so modern these days. This is the Honda Integra Type R, of course, and that's built way back now in the early noughties. As we can see, something a little bit different. This is the Lotus. As it roars up the hill, sounds good. Sounds really good. As it swings it round to the right. Yeah, it's a tricky corner. Last year we live streamed this stage coming down, and we nearly had someone lose it. A big moment coming down that and around that 90-degree left-hander. But yeah, this year we're running it up both times. So yeah, last year it ran down once and up once. This year it's up both times through. So slightly different this year, but really cool to see them hit these roads. It's an awesome stretch of road here in the foothills of Adelaide. If you are just joining us, this is the Shannon's Adelaide live stream. Shannon's Adelaide Rally live stream, I should say. I'm Dan McCarthy, and alongside me is Nick Lenthal. We're just getting towards the end now of the Spirit Tour before the hard chargers, the fast cars, the competition cars come onto the stage. We're very much looking forward to seeing what they can deliver. Of course, this morning's was a bit of a warm-up for them. This is the first time we're going to see the competition cars in some serious anger, and we can promise that will be the case.
That's right, and as we touched on earlier very briefly, that the entry this year, about 300 cars, a little bit down on its best year, and that's largely as a result of the inquiry by Motorsport Australia into tarmac rallying and a whole lot of new recommendations which we have to give the competitors time to grapple with and catch up with and build cars to those specs. Some are changing roll cages and seats and harnesses and so on. So, you know, we've got to give them a little bit of time to do that. But having said that, the field of competition cars that we've got is a really good field of great punters. We have some South Australian rally champions in it. We have people who have won this event before. We have people who've excelled at hill climb and even at circuit racing. So there's a real good mix of punters in that competition list, and a very diverse mix of machines as well.
Don't think though, if you haven't done the Adelaide Rally before, that you can't do it. That's absolutely not the case, particularly in the tours. You can bring your own car along and do it. If you want to do one of the competition classes, you do. If you're brand new, you do have to do training, but you know, that's to be expected. But it's, you know, it's still an affordable way to go motor racing, that is for certain. I mean, the training is done through ADI, the Australian Driving Institute, run by Tanya and Cameron Wearing, and they'll talk you through. They do co-driver training, they do rally training and everything like that to make sure that you are ready and prepared for what is to come in the Adelaide Rally. They do an amazing job, and they've trained a few people up again this year heading into this rally. Oh, that was another bit of a late break there, wasn't it? That looked a little tense as we see the Mazda come through.
And of course we will see Cameron and Tanya Wearing shortly in the BMW E92.
That's right, yes.
And Cameron is a very, very capable steerer. As you said, they're both driving instructors, Cameron and Tanya, as well as business owners.
Yes.
But Cameron is a very handy steerer and placed very, very well in Targa Tasmania a few years back.
Yeah, and they stalwart of the Adelaide Rally as well.
And I think, if I'm correct, I think it was the Panamericana Rally that Cameron did. Maybe you can help me there, Dan. I can't quite think of it. With Peter Cochran in the Ford Piranha some years ago. But yeah, he is a very experienced driver, especially in enduro type events.
Yes, certainly is. Now this is something a bit different again. I think it's the only Skoda we have in the rally. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there is another Skoda entered in the Adelaide Rally. Skoda is another brand that's really going through a bit of a purple patch at the moment. They're making some really nice cars, and they're selling well. Oh, again, that corner seems to be catching people out. There's a few that are really missing the apex. Or do you think they're trying to go for a late apex? You know that corner better than me.
I think that what you're seeing is the value of notes. When you write your notes, you will note something about that corner. It might be a late entry or a late apex or something like that you would note. And we'll just keep an eye on the comp cars when they come through, the full comp cars, and just watch what they do, because even though they're attacking a bit harder, you might find they're a little neater. And that's where the speed comes from.
Exactly. Smooth is fast.
Smooth is quick, yep.
Now this is something a bit different, as Monty Python would say, and now for some reason
completely different. An Austin Ely 3000. Right.
Yes, indeed. The joint oldest car in the rally this year, 1957.
Oh. These cars, of course, driven by Paddy Hobkirk at times in the Monte Carlo Rally, and very successful they were too. I don't know that they'd be the easiest of cars to drive.
No, I don't think so.
But nonetheless, they got some good results.
You see another McGann. It's the 427 car. That's Dale Martins at the wheel of that one. I think he's sharing the duties with Luke Matthews. That's another thing that we should actually touch on. With these tours, you are allowed to change. So you can nominate to be both a driver and a navigator, and you can switch. You have to tell us before each stage, you fill out a form and let us know who's going to be driving each stage. But once you've let us know that, we are allowing you to do that. You can switch if you'd like, and so several of the navigators will jump behind the driving seat later on today, or they might have already done so. So it's not fixed. If you don't like being a navigator, well, you might only have to do a few stages in the navigator seat. If you're taught nicely as a driver, you can change.
And look, it opens up opportunities to maybe share the entry cost, or
that's right,
something like that. Or you might have one fellow who lives in Stirling and another fellow who lives at Montacute. So they go, well, I'll drive the roads that I know and you drive the roads that you know. Because as we said before, this is not the World Rally Championship. This is people going out and enjoying these beaut roads, fabulous roads that we've got minutes from the city centre. And cases are not mega money cars. They're affordable cars, and they're having a great time for not a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, where we are here, we're a couple of minutes from McGill Road. You jump on McGill Road and you're at the Adelaide 500 circuit in 5 minutes. We are really close to the Adelaide CBD. It's hard, I think, for interstaters to realise just really how close we are to the city. We're a maximum of 15 minutes away. from the very centre of the Adelaide CBD.
And it's good because we're playing to our strengths. You know, you couldn't possibly run something like this in Melbourne or Sydney.
No.
Because it's just too congested. Sure, they've got some great roads, but you've got to drive 2 hours to get to them, and may only be 30k out of town, but it will take you a long time to get there. So this is the opposite, and it's great to see Adelaide making use of its motorsport, but also making use of its scenic countryside that it's got to offer. It does encourage tourism, and of course with tourism goes the wineries and the cheese factories and the chocolate factories and all those things throughout the Adelaide Hills, which it really showcases, and the Fluorio, which it showcases. We're going to Strath on Sunday, and I don't know about you, Dan, but I will be investing some money into the Great Duck Race. I plan to be on the winning duck as it crosses the finish line.
Well, that'd be quite something, the commentator having the winning rubber duck. So yes, there is the iconic and legendary, in fact, Strathalbyn Duck Race, where they release all the rubber ducks, and if your duck crosses the line first, you win quite a prize. So yeah, that's a yearly thing that happens in Adelaide, and it's the first time really that the Adelaide Rally is going to be there at the same time, so it's combining two local Strathalbyn events, and
and they're just family events. You know, you can take the whole family along, and you can either sit in the park and watch the ducks, or you can roam the streets and watch the rally cars go through. But it's good that Adelaide, South Australia, has so much to offer in terms of those town centres that are very, very scenic. They're very tourist oriented, and we need to get out and showcase them.
Yeah, absolutely, and that stage will be live streamed, the Strathalbyn stage. First time, as we say, that stage will take place in the Shannon's Adelaide Rally this year. So brand new stage, we're really looking forward to getting to that one. It's actually the shortest stage of the event, at just over half a kilometre, but it's going to be a real spectacle. So many people already wanting and telling myself that they're going to get down there and watch it, because it's going to be quite something. So make sure you get there Sunday around lunchtime, I believe it is. Make sure, or even before then, make sure you get down there. Check the Adelaide Rally website, so adelaiderally.com.au for all the information. But yeah, that is on Sunday. Make sure you get down there.
That's right. The road is closed. Don't let that deter you, because you'll be able to get into the town centre. That's okay. The road that we're using is closed from 11:30 to 4:30. The first car is due to start at 1 p.m. So you'll be able to get down there, go to one of the local coffee shops like Hammer and Tongs, or one of the pubs. I think there's 5 in Strath, and have a nice quiet lunch with some friends, and then just be entertained by some fantastic supercars and some full house tarmac rally cars and crews.
Yeah, very much looking forward to getting there. Here we are, the first of the competition cars coming through.
And it's Cameron Waring.
It is Cameron Waring. We're talking about him just before. And see just how fast and early he is on the power coming out of the hairpin. And roaring up the car is. That looked mighty fast, didn't it? That was really nicely taken from Cameron. You can see why he's an instructor now, can't you?
You can. And look, I did have a bit of performance anxiety in 2018. She's a terrific co-driver. I really enjoyed that event with her. But I did feel like I was being watched by an instructor, so I had to behave myself. But yeah, that was good. You could see in that drive from Cameron then that he knew exactly where he was going to brake, he knew exactly where he was going to turn in, and he let the car flow to the outside of the corner. He wasn't cramping it up, which would cause it to lose a bit of grip and resistance. He was just letting it go. He knew how much space he had.
Yeah, and same with Selly, who came through just before. Of course, Selly, a former winner of the event.
Here's Andre Lukash. This car, of course, a Nissan Turbo, and he won't spare the horsepower. He will have a real good go at that.
Yeah, certainly will. So yeah, these are now the competition cars. These are fighting for outright competition. These are against the clock. This is stage number 6. But with stage 3 effectively not being run with time, as I say earlier, due to some oil on the road, and then stage number 1 was a bit of a pre-log for them. This is their 4th stage really of the day, and that was the Toyota 86, I think.
Supra.
Supra, sorry, yes.
That was Jeff Olholm. Now, Jeff Olholm is a veteran of the Dakar, in a completely different kind of car, of course, but a car built in Adelaide by Gary Kirk, who's a former rally competitor himself.
Here goes Stephen Campbell. Doesn't look quite as quick as some of the other competitors we've seen so far, but certainly smooth on the acceleration, roaring up towards that 90-degree right-hander. That was nicely done. Going to use all the road on the exit. Yes, just about. Yeah, this Porsche isn't too far behind, so I think the Porsche is already closed into the opening meters of this stage. And into the corner goes Aaron Steer. He's certainly steering it nicely out of there. Roaring. Listen to the sound of that flat 6 as it goes down a gear. Oh, I missed the apex a little bit there, and a little bit sideways.
Now, it's a very curious colour scheme on that car. I reckon before the event's out, we need to find out what that is all about, because that is a very strange colour scheme. It's got German names all over it, and I want to know.
I've got the answer for you. I spoke to him last week in scrutineering.
Right.
Based on the Porsche Pig Le Mans car from the 1970s that ran a very similar coloured car. The actual colour is the inside of a pork chop. That's where it comes, the surname of Porsche. So the nickname Porsche. So there you go. There's a little bit
I'm
of
not sure I
history
should have
for
asked that question, though. The car that's the same colour as a pork chop. Okay.
Exactly. But yes, it was the car that a Porsche ran at Le Mans in the very, very early 70s, quite famously. And they wanted to replicate that on their Porsche. So yeah, I advise you to search up the Porsche Corker, as it was known back in the day.
Well, there was a time when Rob Blank, the late Rob Blank, who ran an earlier model Porsche, who was of course part of I think the South Australian League Corporation, had moved out. So, yeah, a sort of nice cartoon type mook house. So it was. There's no telling what the Porsche driver's going to put on that next livery.
Yeah, when I was talking to Mark Lauke about it, he was saying that it's actually a specially made colour. They've actually tried to base it off it was originally, and they had to get it specially made just for this event. And here is one of our contenders for outright comp this weekend, Jack Monkhouse, in his iconic 1973 Datsun 180B. And you can see why he's one of the favourites for the event win this year. Not using all of the road on the run into the corner, but
very nice.
But certainly didn't need to. That was really smooth.
Yeah, it did. You can see why he's quick. He's very, very fluid the way he drives. Got a lot of natural style, but he's also a bit of an entertainer.
Oh yes.
As is this fellow who's leaving nothing on the table in the Evo.
No, you're absolutely right. Is that Mark Lacey? I think it might be.
No, that's not Mark Lacey.
Douglas Johnson.
Right, okay.
There's only 2 Evos in the comp class. This is Robert Brocklebank in the Toyota Corolla. Really banging on the rev limiter down into the hairpins. No, absolutely not. He chucked it down the gearbox, using the engine braking to help him slow the car down, that's for sure. And he's roaring up through the gearbox again there. And again, he just throws it down the gearbox. Missed the apex a little bit. That'll cost him a couple of tenths, but not too bad. Listen to that popping as he goes down into the hairpin. That was a late apex. That's a bit of a different line to what we've seen so far. Sort of missed the an apex and really got a nice late apex and a good exit all the way running up the hill. Only another one that's missed that apex. That seems like a really tricky corner for everyone today.
I think it's just that the apex is halfway around the corner. It's perhaps not as early
They
as...
don't seem to be clipping it halfway around the corner either.
But what we can't see is we don't know what the next corner is. And that's where your notes come in. Because, for instance, if they've just turned left and the next corner is a right, they're not going to let the car run all the way to the fence. They're going to just, yeah, okay. So, and I can't see the next corner, so I can't tell you.
It's a left-hander.
But, yeah, so it's in your notes. And this is, in fact, Mark Lacey in the Laser TX3. Competes on gravel and on tarmac. Previously with his daughter as co-driver, Amy, and has done plenty of Adelaide rallies and loves it. Just probably does all the preparation on that car himself. Yeah, he's a handy steerer too.
Yeah, certainly is. You'd say really fighting against Robert Brocklebank in the Toyota Corolla, wouldn't you, in a smaller engined car?
Look, he may punch above his weight yet. But as we said earlier, Dan, this is not beyond the normal punters who are watching this on the live stream. If you want to take part in this, you don't need a McLaren. I mean, it'd be nice if you've got one. It's a great opportunity to go and punt your McLaren. But a Laser TX3 is not a lot of money to buy. You can, of course, you're going to spend some money on roll cage and seats and harnesses and brake pads and tyres and all those kind of things. But in motorsport terms, it's still, and I'd use the word in inverted commas, comparatively budget motorsport, because there's no such thing as budget motorsport.
No.
It just
Unless it's banger racing.
It just escalates. You buy the car and then it escalates.
Yes, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, it's a relatively low cost entry into the sport.
I agree there. It is, as you say, relatively speaking. It's not like tennis where you go and buy a racket for $100 and a couple of balls and then you go and hit.
And I think the other thing, as I said earlier today, and this is the really, really important part that you've got to grasp about rallying. If you're on a racing circuit and you're rear of field, well, instantly he came last. In a rally, it's completely different because your competitors are not so much the other drivers. Your competitor is the road. If your notes are perfect and you drive the stage really, really well, you'll know in yourself that was a beaut drive. You did that really, really well. And to an extent, you couldn't actually care less what position you were in the field because you just drove really well. And of course, when you've got two people in a car, a co-driver and a driver, that chemistry, when that really clicks in and your notes are right, and you realise that you are in a rhythm and it's becoming subconscious. You're doing it without actually thinking about it, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
I'll get all teary in a minute.
I think you are, aren't you?
Oh dear.
No, it is. I've never been able to rally myself, but yeah, for me.
You should try it, Dan. That might be our effort for next year, is to put you in a car instead of get you out of the commentary box, out of the Mercedes Vito commentary box, and into a rally car.
I think we're in a Sprinter. I think it's a Mercedes Sprinter, but yes.
Oh, right.
But yes, here we are. Look again, the Adelaide CBD. What glorious, glorious conditions we've been presented with today. It's going to be much the same over the rest of the weekend as well. It really is glorious and sets up really a great week of motorsport in South Australia. The Adelaide Rally this week and the Adelaide 500 next week as well. Of course, we did have some bike racing at Phillip Island a few weeks ago, but yes, not...
and the Legends of the Lake Hill Climb last weekend, which I attended.
Yes.
And one of our cameramen was there competing as well, I just found out today.
Not just one of our cameramen, but so many of our competition and challenge class people competed in there as well. So who was there of the comp and challenge people that
I'm not allowed to say. It's a secret.
No, I spoke to a few of them and they were saying to me, oh yeah, using that as a bit of a test for this weekend or whatever. So it's
Well, Jack Monkhouse, of course, was there and took out a first place in his particular category, which is hardly surprising. The way he drives, he's just terrific to watch.
I believe actually we have an interview with Jack Monkhouse, so we'll have a little break and yeah, enjoy this interview.
Watch some of Jumping Jack.
Guys, Jack Monkhouse, and this is my beautiful Datsun 180B coupe. So Datsun I've owned for 23 years. I bought it as an 18-year-old teenager and did a lot of travel rallying with it. So basically I've got a lot of history with it. I've driven it at my 21st. We used it at my wedding. We won the biggest classic gravel rally in Australia, the Alpine Rally, with it. Yeah, it's a bit like Grandad Zach. It just keeps coming back for more, and we love the car. It's gone through a lot of phases of development in terms of engine, gearbox, suspension, safety. We've changed like the roll cage, for example. It's got the double cross in the roof. It's got a cross in the hoop, and it's got a cross in the rear legs just for some extra rigidity. Has the cross in the doors and the car off bar, which is the second sort of bar that runs down the A-pillar. A bit hard to see because it's all painted black in the front to try to eliminate the glare on the windscreen. And then it has obviously a cross, like a diagonal from the main hoop down to the B-pillar. The Adelaide Rally is really good in terms of road selection, and it's quite good on the car. So gravel rally, which we normally do, is quite aggressive on the car in terms of wear and tear, and underneath the poor old cars get hammered with gravel like you wouldn't believe. So we love bringing it out to this event. It's really nice for the car, and it's quite relaxed. There's never really too much stress. We sort of turn up, you do a few stages, then you go for like a morning tea type break, get a chance to regroup, relax, and then again in for another set of stages before lunch. So it's quite a good background. The camaraderie is really good in rallying. Lots of social activities, I suppose. It's not all just helmet on flat out. You do a lot of socialing with all your fellow competitors and the fans too. Obviously the street parties, the lunch stops are a fantastic atmosphere to be involved with.
Beautiful, right? But look further. You'll see them. They're a restless bunch in search of beauty. There's the unyielding conquerors that won't take no for an answer. Yep, that's this place. Perfect for those who want a little more.
Welcome back. A great interview there with Jack Monkhouse. So yeah, he'll be looking to continue his run of form of late and convert that to a victory here in the Shannon's Adelaide Rally of 2023. You haven't missed much action. Only one car has gone through during that time that we saw with Jack, and that was a very, very sick sounding Peugeot. So that was not a great sound. For one
Peter
of our...
Bogatek would not be very happy about that.
No, absolutely not. And it's a really nicely presented machine, that, isn't it?
It is. It's a beautiful livery, and they were a great looking rally car. Of course, made incredibly famous by Ari Vartanen's run up to Pikes Peak in a version of an MI16. Yeah, they were one of the classic rally cars.
I can see in front of you, you've got the next few stages, where we're going, what we're going to see. So yeah, if you want to talk us through.
Well, right now we're on special stage 6, which is Norton Summit 1. From here, the crews are going to Cherryville, which they've already done once today. Cherryville Plus is a run from Marble Hill to the top of Corkscrew Road, down Corkscrew, which is very, very tight and twisty, and then turning right onto the Gorge Road, where it opens up a lot more. So you'll get really fast flowing corners on the Gorge Road, really good quality flat bitumen, really, really nice tarmac, all the way up to Prairie Road. So Prairie Road is the end of the stage, and that's just before you get to the Cuddly Creek Caravan Park and Hotel. Seems to be a lot of stages placed around hotels at the finish. Is that so that if your car does fail, you just wander into the pub and give up? Is that?
Well,
is that...
hopefully Peter Bogatek won't be doing that. Hopefully he'll be continuing on and doesn't stop off at the pub. But yeah, that Peugeot certainly sounded sick when it came past.
No, look, his crew will fix that, I'm sure. So Cherryville Plus is for the second time after they leave us here, and then onto the Stafford Hill climb. So they'll be running from the Fox Creek mountain bike track. If you know where the car park is on the Fox Creek Road for all the mountain bikers when they go on a weekend, just past that they'll start the stage, and they'll run up the hill, up through the S's to the corner of Cold Store Road and Stafford's Road, and turn left onto Stafford's Road, and that's only about probably a kilometre from the finish, so you're watching really close to the finish of that one. Cleland they're doing again, which is from just near the Mount Lofty Summit car park back to Green Hill Road, and then they're coming back to us, so that we can get to talk about them all over again. That will be the second to last stage of the day. The last stage for the day is Anstey's Hill. Now previously today they've done a stage called Vista, which was running down Anstey's Hill. The stage that they finish off with today is Anstey's Hill up. So they'll be running up Lower Northeast Road from just past Perseverance Road. They'll run up that hill to roundabout Range Road south at the top. It's a great stage. Always enjoyed it. One where you know that you've got your notes right. There's some fast corners in it that, again, I say, if your notes are right, you will go through these corners with a level of commitment, but still with a degree of safety, because you know exactly what to expect. And you also know, if you happen to be turning right, you also know if the next corner is another right or another left. So it does prepare you for what's coming up, and that's why I always refer to them as pace notes, but a lot of people will refer to them as safeties, because there is a level of safety that comes with them.
Absolutely, in rallying, particularly in WRC, you see just how crucial the driver and co-driver partnership is. Without the co-driver reading those pace notes correctly, you'll end up in a bush or whatever. It's essential. It's an essential part of rallying. Not only that, but of course they need to be good mechanics as well. Not only the co-driver, but the driver as well, because if they do need to make repairs, it's rallying. They're not your normal smooth, silky tarmac. Things can happen, and you've got to be a mechanic on the go as well. And that's what makes rally drivers, in my mind, the very best in the world.
Look, the thing with rallying is it's a different skill. No one can deny the prowess of Formula One drivers, and I know you're a big Formula One fan, Dad.
Yes.
I'm a rally guy. Rallying's always been my great love. But when you watch the World Rally Championship, which is 10 levels above what we're doing today, and let's not confuse that. The World Rally Championship is for people from another planet who are freaks.
Yes.
And their ability to drive a car at that speed is just mind-blowingly good. But when you start talking about the notes, their level of commitment to the note is such that they're calling the notes that they might say, okay, it's an 8 left after crest. If they've written that note wrong, if it turns out to be a 7 or a 6 in a tighter corner, their commitment to the note is such that that's when you see them have an accident. And they will admit sometimes our note was wrong.
Pierre Neuville, just a few weeks ago in one of the rallies, I can't think off the top of my head, he was leading the event. He just made a mistake, and he said afterwards, pace note was wrong. That was it.
Yeah. And one of the things that used to absolutely throw me about Sebastian Loeb, who was how many WRCs?
9. 9 titles.
Yeah, it's very hard to beat. But he would, every now and again, they would be driving flat out through a stage, and he would change a note. He would say to
Dad.
Julian,
Daniel Eleanor.
Daniel Eleanor, yeah. And he would say, change that from 6 to a 7. And I couldn't even drive like you are, let alone make a change on the fly. How good is his level of concentration? It's just
something else.
Amazing. But the point that I'm trying to make is that they are driving 110% committed to that note. So if the note is wrong, they're their entry or exit to a corner will be wrong.
Yes. Julie Negrassi was Sebastian Ogier's co-driver. I think that's
Yeah.
where you were going with that one. But yes.
Well, they've both won so many rallies that
right.
I get them confused. I think between them they've won about, I don't know, about
16, I think it is.
16 World Rally Championships.
Yeah, it's been a bit of domination, hasn't it?
It has.
French Sebastians have dominated the noughties and tens of World Rally competition, but now, for the first time in many years, we've got a dominant Finn in the World Rally Championship in Cala-Rovanpera. As you say, I love Formula One, but yeah, one of my favourites is WRC because it's just something so special to watch. Of course, you know, we've said already in this live stream about Shannon's and the fact that you know, they are motoring enthusiasts and they're backers of the event, but also Napa Motorsport Academy. We've got to thank them for their support of the event. Same with Calder Wealth Management, Bowden's Car Care Products as well. Colour on Demand. Now they've Colour on Demand printed all of the Adelaide Rally stickers that you see on every single car.
Oh, right.
So we have to give them a big thanks to Colour on Demand. They're located right near the office in Hutt Street, so they're in the Adelaide CBD region. So yeah, if you need some stickers printed, yeah, Colour on Demand is the place to go. As well, Wheelworks, which is based in Richmond, they do all sorts of wheel repairs. I'm sure there'll be a few wheel repairs needed with some of these tough, demanding roads that align these Adelaide hills. It's almost like spaghetti, isn't it? Strewn down around the hills. It's really nice. That's what I envisage anyway, like spaghetti slewed around.
And that's why I say, you know, when you get a rhythm going, and you're just constantly accelerating, braking, changing up a gear, changing down a gear, listening to your notes, and it does become very satisfying and therapeutic, I think.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
A bad day on a rally road is still better than a good day at work.
Yes, yes. If you're enjoying what you're seeing on the live stream, we advise you to get to some of the stages. Make sure you tune into the live streams, but yeah, obviously as well, make sure you get out there, experience it for yourself. We're all around the Adelaide region in the next couple of days, but if you want to get really close and personal, actually look inside the cars, then the Goocher Street Party is for you. That's on tomorrow night in the Adelaide CBD. Head down to Goocher Street and you can see all these cars up close and personal. There's some spectator stages as well, some real family friendly stages that you can take your kids to, and they'll enjoy the action as well. We've got Windy Point. That's a real highlight for me, the iconic Windy Point stage. Wayroa, which is from Stirling to Aldgate, that's another spectator stage. And then as well the Strathalbyn stage, which we've alluded to already. That's going to be a great new addition to the Adelaide Rally this year. We're really looking forward to that one. That's on Sunday, so we're not too far away. I can see you've got the Windy Point stage notes in front of you. That bit of road I drove every day on the way to and from school. I was very lucky to drive that piece of tarmac. If the whole rally was just run on that stage, I might stand a chance of doing okay. The problem is that
you reckon you'd go all right?
Yeah, we've got another 28 stages. That's the problem.
I know. And then you'd have to confess that you did all your practice on the way to school.
That's right.
And now, if you want to have a look at a stage, Windy Point is a good one to have a look at. And the reason I say that is because the cars are running up from Mitcham, so just past the top of Springbank Road, on Belair Road. So they'll be starting on Belair Road, just up from Mitcham, and they'll run up the hill and go past the Windy Point lookout. So you can don't go to the bottom of the stage, to the start of the stage. Find your way to Belair and then come back down Kalara Road, which is the road that runs past Kalara Hospital, runs off Gloucester Avenue. And there's a couple of other roads further up where you can just drive down those little roads that almost that meet Belair Road as it heads up to Belair. Park your car and you'll be able to watch in what is kind of a natural amphitheatre just sitting in the hillsides there. we did this stage a couple of years ago, and I got to say, it was a real moment for me, a very, very memorable moment, whizzing down Windy Point Road and looking at the number of people sitting on the sides of the hills. It was like being in a World Rally Championship event. But yeah, that's a good one to watch. The first car is due at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday. The road's closed from 2 till 6, so you can't get on the rally road. So if you're going to go to Belair, you've got to somehow come in from Old Belair Road to Belair, or you've got to come in from Blackwood and then head down Gloucester Avenue and choose a side street and find a place to watch. But that is an easy one to watch.
Certainly is a real highlight for me of the weekend. While we wait for the next cars to come through, we've got an interview with Graham Modra, who talks about the TSD class.
Hi, I'm Graham Modra. This year I'll be entering my 6th Adelaide Rally. This year I've decided to go into the TSD class. Previously I've competed in both Challenge and TSD. This year the new regulations surrounding the cars, the licensing, just the general cost of the competition categories are just a bit out of my reach. Thankfully, Adelaide Rally's team has brought the TSD back again, which I think perfectly fills the void for people like myself that don't want the full commitment of the full competition categories. Those of you that aren't familiar with TSD, it's very similar to the Spirit Tour. You've got the same regulations with car, with licensing, with Rally Safe. The biggest difference is you've got a target speed component. What is this? It's time and speed over a set distance, which is hence TSD. So you get penalty points for anything above or below that target speed. It sounds initially probably not that hard to those that haven't done TSD, where you've got a 70k an hour average, for instance. But when you consider over 4 kilometres an hour, when you first start at the start line, you're actually doing 0 average. Various stages throughout the stage, quite tight and twisty around Adelaide, which is one of the attractions of Adelaide Rally. You won't be able to maintain that average of 70 k's an hour. So therefore, it's a very strategic thing. We have to think always ahead. It's a bit like motorsport chess. You're constantly thinking about what you're doing right now, but you also have to think with your co-driver, the end game, how am I going to get to the end line at that exact time? And that's the beauty of the category. It's very, very challenging and very strategic, and also very team building with your co-driver.
Some people look forward to the destination, while others don't mind a cheeky detour or two in search of a little more.
Yeah, great insight there from Graham Modra. He's in the 503 machine in TSD. He'll be coming through in a few moments' time in his Ford Escort, and it looks like the challenge cars are coming through now, which was expected. So you haven't missed a car. This is the first of the challenge cars. We'll touch a bit more on TSD though, because as Graham was saying, it's all about average speed and trying to meet that target time. You get a second penalty for every second you are slower than it. You get a 5-second penalty for every second you are faster than it. So it's a really tough thing. Oh, look at that, really fighting the car down into the braking zone. There is the 610 machine. But yeah, TSD is a pretty unique category, and it's a real challenge for drivers and navigators alike.
It is. And as I said this morning, you might think that, no, I don't want to do average speed, I want to go really fast. But what actually a lot of these guys like most is to do something that is competitive, where there is actually a winner and a second place and a third place. And TSD provides that, and it's quite intense. Now, a lot of guys don't like that. They don't like the intensity of it, because you've got to do your maths on the fly. You know, you're trying to give your driver the exact instruction as to, back off a bit, go a bit quicker. So some people, not everyone is for TSD, but I tell you, the people who do it love it, and they actually created this class this year by demand, because they went to Tim Bossingham and said, hey, we really want a TSD class again, like we had in some previous years. And Tim said, well, if you can find enough people, then yes, we'll run it, sure. And they did. They went out and found the people themselves. So there's proof of how much enjoyment these guys get.
That's one of the great things about Tim as well, Tim Possingham, who runs the Adelaide Rally and of course the Adelaide Motorsport Festival as well, is he does listen to ideas, he takes them on board and he improves the event as a result. And there's a lot of people that don't do that, they just think that their idea is best. But yeah, Tim listens and he's taken it on board, and as a result we've got a good field of TSD cars out there.
And look, I don't know if people are aware, but Tim is no slouch in a rally car, or a Porsche Carrera Cup car. But when Tim has chosen to run in the event, he's been in the top 5 of those cars on every stage. He did have a mechanical where a gearbox let him down, but when he was out there, he was right in the thick of it. So you've got a guy who understands what the event is all about, providing an event and listening to the feedback of the drivers.
That's exactly right. We were talking about TSD, but at the moment we do have the Challenge class cars out there on the stage.
Bernie Stack is going through in the Porsche 911. Bernie with a wealth of motorsport experience.
Both rallying, but of course circuit racing as well, as I touched on in the stage earlier. Raced in Touring Car Masters for a number of years, so he certainly knows how to fling a Porsche around some corners. And of course the Porsche is a really tricky car, being rear engined to handle around these tight 50 sections of road. It's a really nicely presented Subaru, that, isn't it? That's the 616 machine. That's Wayne Burbridge. It's really nicely presented. Wayne and Ryan Burbridge, so the two Burbridges in their 2004 Subaru.
My first Bernie Stack race that I can remember watching was back there in 1975.
Okay, there you go.
Don't mean to date you, Bernie, but there you go, the secret's out.
Another Subaru heading down into the hairpin. I think we ought to call it, that was a lot of tyre squeal. I think we ought to call it the Ferrari hairpin, hadn't we, with that awesome Ferrari flag flying and really waving in the breeze. Yeah, it's really, really cool to see. As I say, the first practice session of F1 in Las Vegas isn't too far away. We're going to focus on this, because why wouldn't you? These cars are being pushed to their limits, and this is is this your actual Escort, this one?
No, but it is in the passenger seat is, I think I'm right, is that Graham Cox?
I know, Sean Bennett's alongside Dean Cook.
Yeah, Sean Bennett is in the passenger seat. He co-drove for me in the Adelaide Hills Rally. I can't remember when. First time he'd ever co-drove. And we had a ball, had a great time. Sean is a very keen steerer himself when he has a car to suit. He has run a RX3 rotary at times, and a Mitsubishi Evo Tommy Mackinnon, both in circuit racing and in tarmac rally.
Now that was wide.
He
you
thought
can't
about
deny that one.
Yeah.
That made me, you could probably hear me sucking for air there. That was a missed apex, that's certain, and that will not just cost him in that corner, but that'll cost him on the run to the next corner and the following one. Now that's a bit of a compromised line as well, so we see a few people sacrifice the fast right for a better line around the hairpin. This BMW driver, the 606 machine, that's John Connolly, yes.
And Michael McMichael. Now Michael McMichael has a BMW workshop 5 minutes from here, which is probably very handy. But you might notice that when I interviewed John Connolly this morning, I said, what stages are you looking forward to see the ones without corners? Now that's because a couple of years ago, John managed to brush a bit of Armco with the front corner of that BMW. So he would be on notice to behave himself this time.
Yeah.
That said, that was a pretty aggressive entry to that corner.
I know that John Connolly and Michael McMichael are actually sharing. They're the only team in the Challenge that are actually sharing the driving duties. So I'm not quite sure which one of them is behind the wheel in this particular stage.
I could take a guess. Michael McMichael.
We can see the Citroen. That's with Jason De Encenotis. Sorry if I butchered the name there, Jason. He rolls out of the hairpin. This is one of my favourite presented cars this weekend. It looks absolutely immaculate. This is Citroën C4, really, really nicely presented machine. And I hope to see them do well in the event. Of course, we're really only midway through the first day. There's lots of rally action to come. 29 stages in total this year. This is just stage number 6. Stay tuned to the Adelaide Rally website for all of the latest results. They'll be posted later on this afternoon, the day's results, so make sure you tune into that. Here's the MGB GT that's driven by Peter Mathwin in the 613 machine, and here he is. He's not pushing quite as much as some of the other cars that we've seen so far, but that's a nice line going into there. As you say though, smooth is fast, and the right line can gain you an awful lot of time.
And Peter Mathwin being the dad of Jai Raymond, in the other Rover V8 powered car.
Yes, and here it is.
And here it is, sounding magnificent. I agree that both these guys doing pretty much all their own crap.
Both really, really friendly guys. Yeah, really nice, really pleasant to chat to, and very informative as well.
And Jai's Rover sounding very healthy there.
Certainly
as
is.
he extends it out to its rev limit, I'm sure.
And it's being driven nicely as well. That thing is looking fast, and I'd say certainly on potentially for a top 5 if things go well this weekend. And then from a big, powerful Rover to a really nimble Mini. So from one to the other. So this is Greg Swiggs at the wheel of this one alongside Tanya Pluckenham. This is a 2011 Mini, John Cooper Works R56. Of course, this was about the time when Mini were just getting back involved in the World Rally Championship, which they did for a number of years. It wasn't really the success that they were hoping for when they returned to WRC, and they only got, I think it was a couple of podiums over a couple of seasons, and eventually, after a few years, withdrew again from WRC. But it was cool to see Mini back in WRC for a little bit. That was nearly quite remarkable to believe that. But here you can see how great this stage looks with drones. So you can see S section and then into the very tight hairpin, then roar up the hill towards what's proving to be a really tricky 90-degree right-hander at the top of the hill. So it's caught out a few already, running a little bit wide. And it's, as we say, that's going to affect not just your run around that corner, but the next sequence of corners as well. There's a lot of time to be lost there. I think there's a lot more time to be lost than there is to be gained. That is for certain. So yeah, just looking at last year's results, we've seen a few of the competition cars come through. The best returning driver is Selly. He finished second last year. I think he won it the year before, didn't he, Selly? I think in 2021, so he's got a good run of results on the board, has Selly, and there's quite a few of the contenders over the last few years returning this year, which is really good to see. We just spoke about Jai Raymond in the Rover. He was inside the top 10 last year in 10th position, so he'll be looking to at least replicate that this weekend.
Yeah, and look, given that the competition field is a little smaller, he may well move up the list as well. But you're right, Matt Selly with Hamish McKendrick, 2021 Classic winner. The modern winner was Ben Calder and Steve Glennie in a Mitsubishi Evo, but they're not here this year, although they are sponsors. Ben Calder, of course, Calder Wealth Management, a sponsor of the event, and has been
for a number of years.
Yeah, yes. A number of years. So Ben is a very keen steerer, loves his rallying. And in fact, Matt Selly won the event in 2018 as well. Both times in his BMW Hartka, like an E30 with a 3.5 litre 6 in it, and a very quick little car it was.
This car very different from that. That is for certain.
Yeah.
But this event, you mentioned, we touched on it earlier, some of the names that are driven in this. Of course, this weekend we've had Todd Hazelwood out there driving a Porsche 911, of course, the current Supercars driver. But you look at, some of the past winners of this event, you look and you see the Maguire of course, a
Viper.
in the
Dodge
Viper, yeah, exactly right. But then you look further down as well to Bates and Taylor, of course, an iconic Australian rally combination that did so well for so many years, and they won it as recently as 2017.
Yep, they won the modern class, and that year Adam Kaplan and Alicia Penny won the classic class in a Mazda RX-7 Turbo, which had a livery remarkably resemblant of Alan Moffat's Peter Stuyvesant car, but without the cigarette name on it, as you do. But yeah, it's had a diverse range of winners. Michael Busby won the classic class in 2019 in a Series 4 Mazda RX-7 Turbo. Now, I don't think anyone had run one of those before in this event. The car, I'm sure he just looked at the regs and went, this is an absolute Monty for this car. And he did. He smashed it in that year. Drove the car really well, did a lot of preparation, but, you know, set the car up right and really blitzed it. Good effort.
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on it there about the modern class and the classic class. We do still have that. So we've got the heritage classes. Obviously everybody wants to win their class outright, but there is prizes on the line for the heritage class cars. So some of those that we've seen out there in recent times, just recently, heading up the stage, the Jai Raymond Rover, for example, the MGB GT. There, of course, the Bernie Stack Porsche as well. They're all in the heritage class, so they are fighting amongst themselves as well. Of course, they want to do well in the outright challenge, class, but they do have their heritage class as well within that they are aiming to take victory in. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in challenge, and there's also the under 2 litre class as well in challenge.
Yes.
Is that what you were going to say?
No, I wasn't. A trophy that I was lucky enough to collect on one occasion, the quickest under 2 litre car.
Oh, yes.
But don't ask me to explain how the Heritage Trophy results are worked out, because you'd need to do a maths degree. So what you've got is a power weight ratio. You've got an age aspect, and then you've got probably a how developed is the horsepower now compared to what it was originally. And that mathematical equation I have no hope of explaining to you.
Looks to me like any car from the 80s and before is in heritage, and anything from the 90s onwards is not. So,
but
I know there's a bit more to it.
There's a handicap in the judging, in the way they work out who wins. And even when I was in it myself, I couldn't quite work out how I got the result I did. So, yeah.
There you go. Anyway, we saw there just before the course car, the Tour leader heading up the stage. So that means that we're not too far away from seeing the TSD cars head out there onto the stage. Now, we should explain TSD. This will be the last cars through. And that's because the Prima Tour has already been completed. They've already run their 4 stages for the weekend. So Prima Tour's a cheap way of entering the rally. And as we explained in the last stage, it's a nice little teaser, really. If you're interested in getting involved and you think, oh, I wouldn't mind doing the rally, but I don't want to spend X amount to do it. You know, I want to see if it's what I want to do. That's perfect. Prima Tour's perfect for you. It's around $500 to enter your car into Prima Tour, and then with that you get 4 stages, lunch as well, and you can see if it is for you. Next year you can come back if you want to. You can do Prima Tour again, but if you really enjoyed it, you can step up to one of the main tours and do the full 3 days of rallying. And I think that's a great initiative and a real good idea, just to get people to put their toe in the water, so to speak.
And the proof of the pudding, Dan, is if you talk to people who are in Spirit Tour or Challenge, generally they've come from a lesser category.
Correct.
They've put a toe in the water, enjoyed it so much, and then decided to let's get more involved. Let's engage a bit more.
The amount of people who came into the office, the Adelaide Rally HQ, so to speak. The amount of people that came in to collect their rally boxes, and they said, oh yeah, about 3 or 4 years ago I did Prima Tour, and you know, last couple of years I've done Main Tour, and now I'm doing Challenge. You know, they've moved up through the categories, and that's one of the great things about it. You can chop and change and move where you please to how you feel year on year.
Yeah, and look, some guys have gone dropped a category as well.
Yes, correct.
Because of the raft of changes required by Motorsport Australia, some of the guys have thought, well, gee, I can't build the car to comply with full competition this year. I'll just drop back a category and do Challenge, or I'll do Spirit Tour. You know, just because they don't want to miss it. They don't want to miss out because they love this week of the year.
Yeah, exactly right. And a few actually have stepped back to TSD, which we're about to see come through. So the time, speed and distance class, that's what the TSD stands for. So 12 cars to round out proceedings on what is this, the 6th stage. Of course, the cars that we've already seen, they'll probably be on the 7th or even the 8th stage by now, are already making their way through. So stage number 7 is at Cherryville. That's the big one, the 19-kilometre stage. So that's why some of these tours are a bit more spread out, because they've not long been through Cherryville for the first time. And it really does, a 19-kilometre stage, if there's any hold up in proceedings on 19-kilometre stage, it does hold things. So I imagine that's why these TSD cars are yet to come through. But Vista was just before this, and then after this we've got Cherryville once again. So yeah, it's been a really interesting first day of action, that is for certain. And tomorrow we've got Hermitage to kick things off, and that'll be live streamed. Hermitage, the 5-kilometre stage. Awesome bit of road, particularly where the live stream is, down the hill into the really tight hairpin. It's my favourite stage to attend last year. I'm really looking forward to getting there first thing tomorrow. And then we got the first of our live streamed spectator friendly stages. That's Wairoa. Of course, any stage spectators can come to, but there's certain stages that we call spectator stages, which really are great for families and everyone, great viewing locations for you to come and view all of the action.
Well, one of the foibles of rallying as a sport is that we tend to run away from towns and cities. You know, especially with gravel rallying, we go to some place unknown, way out in the sticks, and of course no one can find us. You know, but it's hard for people to get enough information to go and watch a particular point. So what you have to do is, every now and again you have to take the rally to the people, and you find a road, like the main road between Aldgate and Stirling is the Wairoa stage, and so it's given everybody easy access from a couple of different streets. Even when the stage is closed, you can still get there just by a little detour around the back. And so all the people in that area of the Adelaide Hills, which I'm a resident of, can come down and watch. And last year I watched, I spectated, and you know, cheered the escorts through as they came through. There's one wheel in there. But yeah, it is a thing, and Tim's good at that. You know, every now and again you have to take the cars to the people.
You knew an escort was coming, didn't you?
Graham Modra. Yeah.
Who we were just talking to in his golf-inspired livery. That's really cool to see him slap an old school livery on like that. It's of course synonymous with motor racing. Particularly I think of Le Mans when I see a golf liveried machine. It roars up the hill, doesn't it? Sound awesome. Yeah. You can hear it even from this camera angle. That's just absolutely fantastic. And then up a Nissan Skyline. As he through the bumps, this doesn't look to have quite the same speed. Maybe he's gone a bit too fast earlier on. As we say, this is all about trying to hit that target time at the end of the stage, which for this particular stage is a target time of, I'm just looking in my notes, TSD, target time of 4 minutes 42. So that's the target you're meant to achieve in this. It's well over 5 kilometres this stage, and the target of 4 minutes 42. So you want to have an average of over 60 kilometres an hour But that Nissan before looked to be about 60 k's in a straight line. That's, as we say, one of the challenges of TSD. Here we have a little Hyundai. This is the Hyundai i30N. This is driven by Anthony Daly. 2018 machine. Lots of tyre squeal there. And nice and early on the power. Lots of wheel spin. Gets away nicely up the hill. And we await to see if there's any more cars. I think there will be, and here is one now. The Renault Megane of Chris Oldacre. That does look a bit more blue actually on this stage. I said earlier on, do you remember I said, oh, it's, they've said it's blue, but it's not, it's black, but I think that does actually...
Got a bit of sunlight on it.
Yeah, now it's got a bit of sunlight, direct sunlight on it in front of me. It does look a bit more blue. It's a deceiving colour, that, I think, depending on whether it's in sun or in shade. But anyway, nevertheless, making his way up the hill is Chris at a good rate of knots, and he's followed by the Mercedes A45 of Colin Zitveld. Both the Zitvelds here sitting in this machine, Colin alongside Troy in their 2016 A45 AMG.
And how many times have they won TSD?
Yes, yeah, no,
Multiple winners of TSD.
So it might not look the fastest. It's not about being fast. We keep stressing this is all about hitting that target time. As well, we should stress. That's awesome. I'll let you listen to this up the hill. Awesome, awesome, awesome sound, flat six. But yes, going back to the Zitveld machines, it's all about hitting that target time. Doesn't matter if you're faster, if you're slower, you're going to lose time. You've got to be hitting the nail on the head with the target time. What you can't do, you can't slow down to 20 kilometres an hour or 15 kilometres an hour and wait for time to tick. You can't do that. You also can't go too fast. You're restricted to a certain speed limit. So there are, barriers in which you, in terms of speed, what you can and what you can't do. This Beetle roaring up the hill, 1960, not the oldest vehicle here this weekend, a 1.4 litre engine, not going to fly up the hill like some of the other machines we've seen so far in this stage. But really cool to see a Beetle here that's driven by Tracy Harris and Gordon Harris. I think Tracy's actually, I think she's nominated to run all of the stages. So,
right.
I think they did originally nominate to share, but I think Tracy's doing all of them in the end. Not sure how many vehicles we have left. I think we've seen a large majority of the 12 TSD cars.
And the Volkswagen Beetle was a little bit, for those of us who are a little bit older, it's a little bit like a Mini. When you started your driving life, you either had a Beetle or a Mini. And so many people started their rallying in Beetles or Minis. On the Historic Rally Association Facebook page, they had a week of show us the Beetle that you rallied. And there was multiple posts from people who had started rallying in a Beetle. Now, you look at them today and they just don't rate in terms of horsepower, and neither does an old Mini. But in their day, they were a force to be reckoned with. The late Stuart McLeod won the South Australian Rally Championship in a Mini, and Jeremy Brown, who's co-driving today, ran a Mini Cooper S with some success. So there's no shortage of people who cut their teeth in motorsport back in the 60s and 70s in a Mini Cooper S or a Volkswagen Beetle. And of course the Cooper S winning Bathurst in the mid-60s in the hands of Rano Altonen and I can't think of his name, famous escort driver, but it will come to me shortly. So we're just waiting for some more TSD cars to come through. although we may have reached the end of TSD group. Not quite sure.
No, I'm trying to count how many full dozen if we haven't already. But we'll wait for the final course car to come through just to confirm that. Just to inform you, the next live stream stage will be at 3:25, or that's when it's scheduled to commence. Anyway, obviously with rallying, you never quite know, but yeah, around 3:25 local time here in Adelaide. That's 3:55, of course, if you're over in Victoria or New South Wales. And here we can see the next machine come through. That's the Peugeot 207 of Joseph Pitalago. So we do still have a couple more TSD machines, and that's sounding all right, that Peugeot, as it roars through the Adelaide hills.
Just sweep.
And that is the sweep car. So I think that does conclude proceedings then in this particular stage, but we will be back, as we say, a little bit later on this afternoon. So we'll be back here at Norton Summit at 3:25 local time. We hope to see you then. From me, Dan McCarthy, and Nick Lenthal alongside me, thanks very much. We will see you later on this afternoon.